Hello, guys. Welcome to Ramta Solutions and welcome to your lesson on statistics. Today, on your statistics, we're looking at frequency tables. Okay, we're looking at frequency tables. You will get to know what they are. So, we use frequency tables when we want to display data that shows how often each item in a data set occurs. I'm going to read this as it is. Okay, it'll show you how often each item in a data occurs. Okay, so now we're going to show you an example of frequency tables by maybe using this example here. We're given a data set and we're going to represent this data set in a frequency table. So the example says the callouts at a local fire department, the callouts at a local fire department over 16 weeks are 1 4 2 4 4 2 5 3 2 2 3 7 3 3 2 4. Now let's try to count if we have indeed 16 weeks. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. Okay, perfect. So in understanding this data here, what it says is that in a certain week, it might not necessarily be week 1. Maybe the data is just put randomly. In a certain week, or let's say week X, there was 1 callout. Week Y, there were 4 callouts. Week Z, there were 2 callouts, and so on, in that manner. Okay, this data does not necessarily represent week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, but they may be callouts for different weeks. They may still be callouts for week 1, 2, 3, but I don't think it's necessarily in the order week 1 until 16. Okay, so we're going to represent this data on a frequency table, and then we're going to determine the mean, the median, and the mode. Okay, so let's represent this data on a frequency table. So number 1, we have, maybe let's say number of callouts. I'm going to say number of callouts per week. Okay. Number of callouts per week, let's just call it X. And then we're going to have frequency. Okay, we're going to have frequency. Remember, when we talk frequency, we basically are saying the number of times that something occurred or something happened. Okay, then we're going to have frequency times the number of callouts per week. So when we look at our data, we had 1 callout, 2 callouts per week, 3 callouts per week, 5 callouts per week. We don't have 6, we have 7. However, I'm going to represent this data from 1 to 7. So let's see, the minimum was 1, so we're going to say 1, and then 2, or maybe let me try to use the ruler here. 1, okay, a 1, and I'm going to try 2. I want to use that ruler again. Oh, that line, it's not a ruler, it's a line. Okay, and then, okay, I'm going to try to make, how many columns? 7. Yeah, then we'll try to make 7. So this will be 4, this will be 5, this will be 6, and this will be 7. And maybe also try a row of totals. You try a row of totals as well. And yeah. Okay. Okay, a row of totals. All right. Just neatly tidying this table. All right, so we have number of callouts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then let's also try total. Okay, I'm going to change the color. So let's see how many times one callout occurred. One callout occurred only once, so I'm going to say 1. I'm going to put 1. And then 2 callouts occurred how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 2 callouts occurred 5 times. I'm going to write 5. And then we have 3 callouts. Let's see if we have 3 callouts. Yes, they occurred 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 callout occurred 4 times. 4 times. Now we go into 4 callouts. Let's see. 4 callouts per week. 1, 2, 3, 4. They also occurred 4 times. Now moving to the 5 callouts per week. I see there was only 1 5 callout per week in the 16 weeks period. So it was 1, 6. There were no 6 callouts per week. So in place of 6, we'll put 0. 7 callouts per week. They only occurred once. Now, for our total, we go into sum. For our total, we go into sum the frequency. And that is 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. 14 plus 1 is 15. 15 plus 0 is still 15. 15 plus 1 is 16. So as you can see, the total is 16, right? As you can see, the total is 16. Indeed, the total is 16. Remember they said over 16 weeks period. Okay? So indeed, the total is 15. Now, to find this f times x, which will help us to basically find the mean, we'll say 1 times 1 because it occurred only once. It'll be 1 times 1, which is 1. And this is 2 times 5, right? This is 2 times 5. 2 times 5, which is 10. So you have an idea of what we're doing. So I will say 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 1 is 5. 6 times 0 is 6. And then 7 plus 1 is 7. Okay? 7 plus 1 is 7. Now let's try to find the total. Now the total is 1 plus 10 is 11, plus 12 is 33, I believe. If you have a calculator, you can quickly do this. So this is 33, this is 49, this is 54, 11, 23, 39, 51. So this is 51. Okay, this is 51. Okay, this is 51. So these are our totals, and this is how we represent this data in a frequency table. Now let's try to answer the questions. Determine the mean. Now when we want to find the mean for data like this, we will say x bar is equal to this sigma, means sum, okay, over n, okay, over n. So basically this n here, it's basically sum of the frequencies. Okay, it's basically sum of the frequencies. Now let's go back to our data, to our table. This here, as you can see, it's the total of f times x. What is it? It is 51. Okay, it is 51. And what is our n? Our n, remember I said it's the sum of the frequencies, which is 16. Remember, this data was taken for 16 weeks. Now, what is 51 over 16? 51 over 16 is 3,19. Okay, our data is 3,19, which basically says is an average of 3 callouts per week. Okay, it's an average of 3 callouts per week. So when you conclude this data, though it's not what the question is asking, when you try to interpret this data, you basically say on average at that fire department, there is an average of 3 callouts per week. Okay, there is an average of 3 callouts per week. All right, perfect. Now, remember this formula, it's important. You're going to use it whenever you have grouped data. You're going to use this formula whenever you have grouped data, which you're going to see later. All right, moving on. Now, question 2.2 said determine the mean. Remember, the mean is the centralmost value that divides your ordered or sorted data in two. All right, it is a value that divides your ordered or sorted value in two. Okay, remember, for you to find your median, you must make sure that your data is sorted from the lowest to the highest value. Okay, so in this data we have 16 data entries. So obviously our data will lie between the 8th and the 9th, right? So value will lie between the 8th and 9th. All right, the value, what value, the median will lie between the 8th and 9th value, right? Between the 8th and 9th value, right? Between the 8th and 9th value, right? All right, so let's look at it. Now we're going to look at it and say, okay, let's look at it. So since this data is basically, there are 16 entries or 16 values in this data, we must look at when we add them cumulatively, meaning, for example, this is 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 10, 10 plus 4 is 14, 15, of course, 15, 16, and of course, this is 16. All right? So the data must lie between the 8th and the 9th. When you look at it, the 8th and the 9th value falls where? Falls on which category? It falls on the 3 callouts per week category. Okay? It falls on the 3 callouts per week. Right? So now this question, when it asks us what is the median of this data, we will say it is our answer. Let me write it in a different color. Our median, basically, median is 3 callouts per week. Even if you say 3, it's okay. It's 3 callouts per week. Oh, sorry, callouts should be defined by dash. So it's 3 callouts per week. That's your median. I repeat, you look at your data, you have 16 entries. Now, since you have 16 entries or 16 values, your median will lie between the 8th and the 9th. Now, the 8th and the 9th, as you can see, they are on which callouts? On this category of 3 callouts per week, right? As you can see, here it's 6 callouts. From here to here, it's 6 callouts. So obviously here it's 7, 8, 9, 10. So they lie in between this one here. Okay? They lie in between this one here. So this is where your median lies, right? This is where your median lies. So your median is 3 callouts per week. Finally, the question says we must look for the mode, right? The question says we must look for the mode. Remember, the mode is the value that appears the most, right? It is the value that appears the most. Now, you're going to look at it. In other words, for this question, you're going to say which value, let's look at our frequency table. Which value has a higher frequency? It's not the one call out per week, but it seems like it is the 2 call outs per week. As you can see, there were many 2 call outs per week. Okay, there were many 2 call outs per week. Let's go there. So our answer is 2 call outs per week. That's our answer. 2 call outs per week. Okay, 2 call outs per week were our mode. Alright, remember, mode is a value that appears the most in a data set. Okay, so this is how you answer your frequency tables. Okay, this is how you answer your frequency tables. All right, guys. So with that being said, it's a wrap, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.